Thanks for all the support on the first Tower of the Planets building video. In today's video, we're going to be building floor 2, Mercury the Winged Messenger. So I read your comments and several of you gave me suggestions on how to do stuff in the tower kit. So let's begin with this comment telling me about full hide. So if you give a button activated platform an object value called full hide, that's going to make it so that it's 100% transparent when it's supposed to be. So since this is button deactivated, that means when you press the button, it's going to become invisible. And you can set a button activated platform to be like that by giving it a bool value called invert. This one does not have invert, so that's going to mean it's invisible beforehand, 100% invisible because full hide, and then after you press the button, it becomes visible. As you can see, this is here and the wedge is not, but once you go over here and press the button, still just imagine that's a spacesuit and not just a thing. This becomes fully invisible and this becomes visible. I also actually added some gameplay in this International Space Station section. So from the start of the tower, which is right there, you can go this way. There's nothing to do over here though, except look out the window. And this whole section is a no jump section, so you can't jump. This sign explains how you're going to do some of the jumps that I'll put in the section, which are /E cheer jumps. You basically do that, and you would press the spacesuit, but then you got to get back over this wall here. So in order to do that, what I had was another /E cheer jump, but someone had told me that there's a minor skip where you can do a lodge between the box and the wall. I looked into it and decided I liked that and it should be the intended thing you're supposed to do. So what I did was I modified this a little bit by adding some more boxes here. I was going to make it so that this was more than 3 studs tall, that way you couldn't /E cheer jump, but if I did that, then the lodge also wouldn't work. But by making it so that the only side you can get to the edge of the box on the bottom here is over here, that means you have to do the lodge like that. Because you try to do /E cheer right here, it doesn't let you fully do the animation. And yeah, you're supposed to turn right like that. That's what that sign says. And then you just go this way, and this thing is open. I'd like to quickly mention that we're less than 100 subscribers away from 3,000 subscribers. The 3,000 subscriber special will be a Q&A like it was for 1,000 subscribers, so please comment some questions for it either on this video or on the community post linked in the pinned comment. And please subscribe if you aren't already. I also figured out a bunch of stuff on my own of how you can do some things with this tower kit. For example, I learned how to use a jump booster, obviously because I made it a no jump section. And since speed boosters are very similar, I learned how to use those. I also made a decal to use for the solar panels instead of building that with parts. And unlike Obby Creator, you can add multiple effects to a single part, so I can add 5 textures to one part. So I put that on every face of the part except the one that you can't see because it would be pointless to do that, but I could put it there if I wanted to. I also changed this sun floor a little bit. I mean, we're gonna add more to it today, but I added these signs. It says the fast spinning of most of the gameplay here will protect you from the extreme heat of the sun as well as the extreme cold of space. But I mean, there's nothing that's actually going to happen in this tower if you aren't spinning, so that's why there are some platforms that seem normal on this floor. Be careful, the gravitational pull of the sun will try to pull you off these platforms. You'll also get your jump power back. This part here, while it looks like a normal part, is actually a jump remover, meaning it removes the jump boost. Even though the thing over there does in fact remove the jump, it's still a jump booster. It just happens to change your jump power to something less than what it is normally. This thing removes the boost, which in this case, it will actually increase your jump power. And then here, this is a jump booster that actually increases your jump power. You jump higher now. And I put all these exclamation marks here because that is a conveyor. So yeah, someone was saying I should make the conveyors be marked. Well, I'm not going to do that, but now you know to expect it because it says on that sign there. And besides, this is the beginning of the tower, so if you fall into the void and die, it's not that big of a deal. I put this single rope platform here because I was going to try and make this thing be spinning. I think I can somehow use this, change some properties of that to make that do that. But I couldn't figure out how to make that work, so I'm just going to delete that. Let's also try and use some of these beginner spinning weld platforms. So let's try and figure out how these work. So we have a bunch of parts instead of just 2, which is the case on the regular spinning parts. Okay, these 2 parts are the actual spinners. They have weld constraints attaching them to the invisible part here. Well, the one that's slightly larger. This invisible part has an attachment right there. And so does the other invisible part right there. They're in the same place. So if I change which one I'm selecting, it looks like I'm not doing anything. And the cylindrical constraint, the attachments in this property are set to those attachments. And to change the speed of this, I can change the angular velocity. That'll change the spin speed. So I think that should be good as long as I move it close enough so you can actually jump to it. Okay, so that just adds some variation to that. How else can I make this more interesting? Well, of course, the conveyors are going to pull you towards the sun, so if I can, I don't know, put some wraparounds on top of there. Now, you do have increased jump power here, so I'm going to need to make these pretty tall. That's also going to mean you can wrap around more, but keep in mind that this is a conveyor. So, yeah, I think that should be good, other than the fact that you can just jump on top of that. Off of here, you need to, Yeah, I think it's easier to go to the left though. That way it's like you're not jumping the opposite way the conveyor's trying to pull you. Off of this slanted wraparound thing, you're gonna jump to here and you can kind of stop for a second here without having to worry about getting flung off the conveyor or flung off the spinner. Even though it is still a conveyor, but this thing's blocking you from being pulled off of it. Okay, I added a little bit more now, including a spinning kill brick, which basically just works the same except it's a kill brick. I also put a fake kill brick on top of here since you don't actually go on top of here. That way it's just like one less thing for the game to process, you know, save the 0.001% of lag where I can. Now, I want to see how to make a button activated spinning part. If you look at the README, buttons say activates all platforms named button activated platform and is the exact same color of the button. Can be configured to support various objects. I think what that means is it works with client objects. I mean, I've seen towers that have button activated client objects. Well, like, I mean, I know the things a button activates are client objects, but like a button activated conveyor or spinning part. I'm gonna move the spinning kill brick like over there for now. I'll put it like here later. I want the thing here like after this to be the button activated spinning part. Okay, now the button is gonna go like over here somewhere. So like you would jump off of this like over here. Now I have to figure out how to make this work. Okay, so inside the button, we have some configurations. I didn't notice these last video. I think I actually cut out the part where I was looking at the buttons. Color specific appears to be one of those. The way the buttons work in this tower kit, like it said in the README script, is it's whatever parts are the same exact color. But the fact that this is here, is there like some way I can, like some other way to connect it to like specific parts? Let's make the color like this color. I want it to be like a bright color like the sun, but not the exact same color. Let me just go ahead and copy and paste that RGB value. So these are kill bricks, but they're still just called button activated platform. Looking at the things here that this button is connected to, since it's like, these are all just the same color, it's just the default thing here. These are kill bricks, and yeah, they still work the same as a kill brick. I don't know why I'm not taking damage though. Oh wait, yes I am. Why is the health bar over there? It's normally over there. However, the ones that get deactivated, even if you can still see them, they don't damage you. That's good to know, but not really relevant right now. So these are called button activated platform, and it might have invert if I wanted to get deactivated, which I don't for the thing over here. And it's in the button platforms folder in the Explorer window. What if I just move this whole thing to button platforms, and then make button activated platform the same color as the button? And wait, hold on, I think I need to make it can collide false and transparency 0.6. That way it's like not activated before. So it's still spinning, it is can collide false. When I press the button, what happens? It actually activates it. I did something right. How about that? Wait a second, I just realized in the output window it says found a double client object value in button platforms. If I delete that one, does the thing still work and it doesn't show that warning? It doesn't show the warning, it is still spinning, and yes, the button still works. Okay. So that's pretty much been my process for figuring out how to use the client objects in the tower kit. I finished up floor 1, so now it's time to begin floor 2, Mercury. So as I've mentioned several times already, this tower is inspired by The Planets, the orchestral suite by Gustav Holst. The suite includes 7 movements, 1 for each planet except Earth and Pluto. It doesn't include Pluto, not because it isn't a planet anymore, but because it hadn't even been discovered yet when this was composed. Each movement of the suite is named after the planet it represents and the Roman god it's named after, well except for Uranus, which is named after a Greek god. In the tower, each floor and its song in the Tower of the Planets OST will be based on either the planet itself, Holst's movement for it in the planets, the god it's named after, or some combination of those. Mercury begins with a speed section above the planet to represent the winged messenger, and the fact that Holst's movement for it is vivace, meaning lively. I built this section using many client objects I haven't used yet, which was good because I learned how they work. But now there's another problem. Last video I mentioned the Google Doc with the plans for this tower and how I had typed out diameters for each planet so that they would be kinda to scale and still fit in the Obby Creator Obby plot dimensions, since I typed these when I was planning to build this tower in Obby Creator. Turns out for what I'm trying to do, a sphere with these diameters is nowhere near large enough for all the gameplay I have planned for these. This is particularly the case for the inner planets and for the moons, 1 because they're smaller, and 2 because they're terrestrial, so you'll walk on their surface, unlike the outer planets, which are gas giants where you can't stand on the ground, so you'll be on platforms on stilts above the surface. And a flat platform is a lot easier to work with than a curved sphere. So for the smaller terrestrial planets, you'll instead be teleported to another area where I'll have more space to work with, and it will help with making you feel like you're on that planet. Now that we have that figured out, the rest of the Mercury floor will be based on the planet itself. It's the closest planet to the sun, so the side facing the sun reaches very high temperatures. However, Mercury has a very thin atmosphere that doesn't trap much heat, so the side facing away from the sun is very cold. On the other hand, Venus's atmosphere is very thick and it does trap a lot of heat, so Venus actually reaches even higher temperatures than Mercury does. The main part of the Mercury floor will have 2 sides. That's in quotes because it's like not actually a frame, it's just like another area. Side A is supposed to be the side of the planet facing toward the sun, and side B is supposed to be the side of the planet facing away from the sun. While there's a base plate right now, I'm going to delete that eventually. I'm just keeping it for now because, I don't know, it's kind of helpful, I guess. We're going to start with a part right here, which I'm going to set all these to smooth. I set the color of this part to the same thing as this part over here, the planet itself. I do need to get the right material though, sandstone. I mean, the Mercury planet in real life isn't made of sandstone, but this texture looks like what the surface of the planet looks like. Okay, now how large do I want this area to be? Probably like this. Let me just go into play here to make sure that's not like way larger or smaller than I think it is. While this is actually larger than a floor of a regular tower, keep in mind we're not going to go very high above the like ground, probably like only a third to half as high as you would go in a regular framed tower. You know, I always say you never realize how difficult it is to build natural looking terrain with parts until you try to build natural looking terrain with parts. But in Roblox Studio, using actual terrain is something available to me. So if I go to view and open the terrain editor, then I have this here. And if I go to the edit tab and click fill, then I can resize this like preview thing to be roughly the same size as this. Okay, so we have fill or replace. I want it to just fill this area with terrain. I want it to be sandstone. Since that's a texture, it's probably going to be the wrong color though. But if I just click apply, then it just fills that area with the sandstone texture. I think I should leave it like this. This looks really good. If I want to change the color of this, I need to go to workspace.terrain, then expand the material colors property, and find sandstone and change that color. Now that is actually going to change the color of any terrain that I build in this entire place that's sandstone. But you know what, there's a bunch of other things that look like rocks that I can just change, and they're all probably going to be roughly this color anyway, so like, does it really matter that much? If I use sculpt and have it on add and the material I want, then I can like generate hills and stuff, which is nice. Subtract will do that. So yeah, basically now I can sort of randomly do this to sort of give it a more natural looking terrain. I can maybe change some of these other settings too, that way it's just a little bit more random. In about the center of this area, I think I'll put something like this, that way it sort of separates side A from side B. However, since I used the cube one, it looks slightly cube, so I'm going to go to subtract and sort of make that look a little bit better. And while we're here, I'll also use subtract to make some other adjustments to the terrain. I think this should be good. Let me go into play here and see what it's like to walk on the surface of Mercury. Yes, I do like this. And I don't think this should have too many problems of like, you can go to a higher part of the terrain and just skip a bunch of parkour. Like if there was a platform here that you're supposed to do 10 zillion jumps to get to, but then you could just go up here and do that, you know? Let me take some regular parts now and sort of put a wall around here so you can't like go out of this area. I know it's studs currently, but I'll make it like reflectance 1 or something after I decide what lighting effects I want to use. So there's a whole bunch of lighting effect changers over here. So the actual changers are here, and I think these are the resetters. Yeah, it just sets it back to the default. You can see what it changes if you go to the part and then look at lighting configuration in the part, and you can see what effects it can change and then change them by editing these numbers. Okay, well I think the main ones I'm going to want to use are these two, so let me just copy and paste those. Okay, so here are all the settings I decided to go with. So you can see it's nighttime, and there's like a slight like red coloring to some of the things here, but it's still bright enough to see. This whole time for the skybox, I've been using the default skybox. I was thinking I would just have it set to nighttime the whole time, that way you'd see the stars. The problem with that is the stars aren't actually part of the skybox, so that's going to mean, for example, in these areas like this, I'm going to have the walls set to reflectance 1, which will make it basically show the skybox, but since the stars aren't part of the skybox, you won't see the stars. What I'm going to do is try to make my own skybox by taking some pictures of the night sky, which will include the stars. Now, of course, I need to go outside and take a picture of the night sky the one time I'm recording a video during the daytime. Then again, even if it was nighttime, it might be cloudy or something. But next time there's a clear night sky, I'll do that. Once I have the new skybox in, I'll probably make there be like a ceiling on here, but for now I'm going to leave it like this. Now when you get to side B, I think I might make there be like a slight blue coloration to everything, and maybe make it a little bit darker by decreasing the brightness down to like 2 or 3. Actually, there's a good chance a lot of these things are going to change once I make the new skybox. Since if I make the skybox be like mostly black, as it would be if I made it a picture of the night sky, that means I can set the daytime to be like the sun is up there, you know, like noon as far as the game is concerned, but it still looks like it's nighttime because that's what the skybox is. Well, I suppose let's get to building the parkour. So I'm going to take the sign here, which was previously over by the planet. It says this part of the floor is very hot due to how close it is to the sun. There's a safety net for the rest of the floor, but watch out for the 20 damage kill bricks ahead. I also need to take the teleporter destination and set that to like right here, like right next to the sign. And I'll put the lighting changer right here as well. If you're wondering what happened to the color correction changer, it died. And I'm also going to put the speed boost and jump boost removers right here as well. So let's test this out. So you're going to have the increased walk speed and jump power for this speed section. You'll get to the end of it, so you'll go across the zip line, and you will land on that, but then you can't move or jump there. You get teleported, but now you can move and jump again, but you're going at the default walk speed and jump power, and the lighting effects were set. Okay, so we're going to begin the floor with a truss like this, but there's going to be a troll right here. Okay, so see how I've made this 3 different trusses? I'm going to make the middle one be Can Collide False. This is used in Tower of Inception, and many people complain that that tower has bad gameplay. But basically, you're going to try to climb up the truss, but then that's going to happen. But here, when you do, like, walk through that, you'll just land on this kill brick, and then you'll just, like, jump off of there, so you'll be fine. It's not that big of a deal, as long as you don't die because of that, which is probably unlikely. Now, what color do I want the gameplay to be here? I'll make these be like a dark red, or maybe brighter than dark red. 18000. And on side B, where everything is cold, I'll make the platforms be colored blue. Okay, so I've built this first section of parkour here on Mercury side A. Now on the ground, you'll find these 20 damage kill bricks. There seems to be some like visual bug where it will like appear that you're not taking damage. I think this is only in studio, but you can see I obviously am taking damage. I mean, it did that a moment ago, but now it's working. I focused a lot more on the parkour here than I have so far on this tower, and I made this by making unanchored parts that are just welded to the main spinning part, which is that. But everything is inside this model. And I also figured out how to use push boxes. So the entire model includes the spawn button and a push box, and if you want to make it spawn multiple things, like what you do here is you have to push like each one a little bit since they're welded together. Basically, instead of having one part called push box inside this model, there's another model inside this model with the 2 push box parts. I actually don't know if these need to be called push box, but whatever. And 1 weld constraint. It doesn't really matter which one it's in, but it's welding both of these together. There we go. So you can jump to it from there, but from here you cannot. Over here, I did use an X pusher, but I didn't make many major adjustments to what it is by default. I think all I changed was the length of the prismatic constraint, which is how you change the length of these. I think what I want to try to do here is make this X pusher, instead of just going straight that way, I want it to go a little bit at an angle and upwards to like here, approximately. Okay, I found something that works, but I don't know if it's the, like, correct way of doing this. Basically, I, like, rotated these parts in these attachments. So what it's now going to do is when I click play, everything's going to, like, go in place, and you're going to think when I go on this X pusher, it's going to take me that direction. But actually, it's going to do that. Now, like I said, I want to go this way. That took me, like, that direction. So if I just rotate it, I guess to where that is, like, aligned with everything else the way I want it to be, that should work. So far, so good. Yes, okay. I mean, that's not the exact angle I wanted it to go, and I wanted it to go upwards a little bit too. But I mean, for just trying to figure out how this works, I think that's good enough. But if anyone knows the correct way of doing that, please tell me. Okay, so that's going to take you to roughly over here. Let me just take a regular part. And for this next thing I want to build, it's going to be using push boxes again. I just didn't want to make it be 2 push box things in a row. Also, I definitely think I should use these ouch bricks some more. Currently, they're just on the ground, but I want there to be more than that. Okay, I added a few more. I put one there, and I put one right there. And I replaced this 1 stud that was here with a 1 stud ouch brick. Okay, so this section of purist gameplay, other than the ouch bricks, will lead you to the next pushbox section. So like I said, the way I made this pushbox section was instead of just 1 pushbox, I made a model of pushboxes and welded them together. But it doesn't have to be a weld. It can just be nothing, like you could just make it spawn like a bunch of pushboxes at once and they're not welded together. But what I'm going to do is use a rope constraint. While I was making the speed section at the beginning of the floor, I made this like custom rope platform. They're actually easier to make than you might think. It's basically you just put an attachment on the part that you want like the rope to be connected to, and you need 2 of them. Then you take the rope constraint and then change these properties to be those attachments. And you can put multiple ropes, or you can put 1, and it doesn't even have to be in the center. Like I can move this rope constraint like over here if I wanted to. I'm not sure what this thing does though, but I do know that it's not like a requirement for a rope constraint to work, so I don't need to worry about it. Okay, so I'm gonna put a wraparound where you'll go around this way onto here, and now I need the push box, so let me just go over here and duplicate this, and then I need part and button. That's the respawn button, so let me just rotate that and put it in place. Unlike regular buttons, these don't work by having things color-coded. It has to do with, I guess, the fact that it's in the same model, probably. Basically, that's going to mean it doesn't matter that even though this button and the push boxes it's linked to are the same color as this button and the push box it's linked to, like, that shouldn't be a problem. While I'm thinking about it, I will also make this be universal. And then here comes the real plot twist. It's not going to be a block, but a ball. Now let me go ahead and put this in a model by pressing Ctrl G, and then I'll rename that to Pushbox. I don't know if it needs to be named Pushbox, but whatever. Now I'm going to duplicate this and make it be a block again, but it's going to just be like sort of a platform like this, like a rectangular prism, not a cube. And then add an attachment to both of these. And a rope constraint to either one. It doesn't really matter, but I'll add it to the sphere. Okay, now I put the attachment in the very center of the part, but I want it to be like the center of the top face. So let me just select it and just move it to right there. And the one here, I think I do actually want that to be in the middle. We'll name this one attachment 0. And we'll name this one attachment 1. Now select the rope constraint and then set these, so just click the one. I don't think it actually matters which one is attachment 0 and which one's attachment 1. In fact, if I wanted to, I could make this be attachment 1 and this be attachment 0. And make it visible, and I also need to set the length of it to be about this long. You can just sort of experiment with different numbers and see what seems to work. In theory, what this is going to do is when I press this button, it's going to do that. And so what you can do is like roll this across here and it'll move the platform with it. And then from down below, you can stand on said platform, and it's like a hanging platform. Okay, select all of these parts, and I want to rotate them, because basically I want it to be, you have to go back to here, and then you'll jump across this platform, which you can now get to. How about I position this where you can jump to that? That should be good. And then just move this to where this is where that was previously, approximately. And the next problem to address is that you can like just walk on here, so it kind of defeat the purpose of like going back down here and jumping across that. So what I'm going to do is delete these and replace them with teleporters. Actually, I won't delete them yet, so I can remember the positions they were. So the teleporter is the red one, I believe. Yes, it is. Let me remove invisible, and let me change the visual properties so it's the same as this. So now I'll just take a teleporter and put it in the same position as these parts. Wait, actually I just realized I just duplicated the part and not the whole model. Hopefully what that means is I just need to put one destination and all the teleporters will send you to that. Well, let's find out. That one does teleport you there. That one does teleport you there. Okay, nice. So that's actually sort of a more like, I forgot the word. Efficient, there we go, like way of doing that. Don't you love it when you just forget the word you're trying to say? You know, upon further contemplation, these shouldn't be studs. They look just like regular platforms. Let me instead make them inlet. To finish up side A, I added the button that you use the hanging platform to jump to. It's actually a morpher button so that it slowly lowers this wall so you can get to side B. Then I added some more detail to side A, first by adding decorations to the platforms, and then by placing invisible Candlelight false 1 studs with fire and smoke particles. Then I began work on side B and built a few jumps. The rest will be built off camera. The section will include a lot of ice platforms. Ice platforms are ice, and glacier platforms are trip parts. Throughout the section, I'll also include a lot of client objects, but make them be ice platforms. To do that, I'll enable custom physical properties on the platform, and then set those properties to the same things that the ice platforms in the tower kit are. This is where I'll use the custom hanging platform that I mentioned earlier. With that, it's time to show you everything I built in today's video. We'll start right here, at the beginning of the sun floor. The fast spinning of most of the gameplay here will protect you from the extreme heat of the sun as well as the extreme cold of space. But I mean, there's nothing that's actually going to happen in this tower if you aren't spinning, so that's why there are some platforms that seem normal on this floor. Be careful, the gravitational pull of the sun will try to pull you off these platforms. So you will go up that truss. I need to add neon to that, don't I? And then when you go on here, that will give you an increased jump power. And then, be careful, that's a conveyor. So yeah, on the sun floor, there's a mixture of conveyors and spinning part-based gameplay. And yeah, this floor is definitely not finished either. I'll probably come back and make it longer, and definitely add some detail. Okay, so you're supposed to go to there, which is currently impossible. Okay, there, I fixed it. So you'll have this kill brick conveyor. It's doing that visual glitch where you can't see my health bar, which is fine because I need to exit the game anyway to fix that jump that's impossible. Actually, it would appear I moved the platform, I just didn't move this thing, so it, like, made it rotate to where this invisible 1 stud was. Well, if I just do that, that should fix that. Wait, you don't even need this then. Okay, you know what, whatever. Just, I'll do something about that eventually. This spinning part is now activated, this button-activated spinning part. And be careful of the conveyors and of that spinning part, because that could happen. And we got a spinning kill brick. And then this X-Pusher thing. Mercury the Winged Messenger. To represent Holst's movement for this planet, here's a section with an increased walk speed and jump power. If you fall, your run will end. This jump booster here is temporary. Just as I was building this, I didn't feel like having to go down there to get the jump boost every time. So yeah, you don't actually have to press that. You have some elevators here, and then this thing. you got to do that in order to get to here, and that will land you on that, like, that'll happen. I forgot words again. This part of the floor is very hot due to how close it is to the sun. There's a safety net for the rest of the floor, but watch out for the 20 damage kill bricks ahead. And watch out for right here, cause that, yeah, if you're not careful, you'll do that and maybe die to the kill brick. Or ouch brick. And of course, watch out for those during the gameplay as well. There's one right here, it's like one stud, so like jump to the edge of there. I mean, you won't die if you hit it, but just try not to, I guess. Then time this jump right onto the spinner and climb up this truss in the center. Then go onto here, wrap around, and you want to jump to this one stud right there. First try. Then you have this push box thing, so you spawn the 2 push boxes that are welded together. And do that until you can make this jump here. I don't think I can quite. There we go. And then you think this is going to take you like straight over there, but nope. Watch out for that ouch brick there. And you'll want to like wrap around to there. Actually, it is possible to do that also. Press the spawn button and roll the sphere along the track to correctly position the hanging platform below it so you can jump to the dark gray button. If you touch the track, you'll be teleported back a few jumps. It'll teleport you right to there. So you want to go on this half stud thing, and then there was a weird studio bug. That shouldn't be a thing that happens in the actual game. Anyway, yeah, you do that, and you do this, and then you do that, and then you do that, and then you do that, and then you do that. And so that will lower this door thing, yeah. Then you can walk across here, the lighting effect will change a little bit, and you've reached side B. Mercury's atmosphere is very thin, so it doesn't trap much heat. Therefore, the side of the planet that's facing away from the sun gets very cold. You want to go across these ice platforms, which I didn't even playtest yet, except for like 2 of them. Well, that appears possible. That is possible. That is possible. Platforms with the ice texture that you just jumped across are regular ice platforms. Platforms with the glacier texture are trip parts. So you're going to want to hold space across here. Once you get onto this platform, that's the end for the time being. Well, thanks for watching today's video. Hopefully you enjoyed it. If you did, please remember to leave a like and consider subscribing. And don't forget to comment some questions for the 3,000 subscriber Q&A video, either on this video or on the community post. Again, link in the pinned comment. With that, I'll see you in the next video, and have a great day.